Well, hello, CMBC family and friends. In the third chapter of Ecclesiastes, we find these words. There is a time for everything, a time to mourn and a time to dance. It's my weekly check-in, but the conversation is different today because as I record this, I do so with a heavy heart. This past Wednesday, America crossed the 100,000 mark, the horrifying milestone of 100,000 American deaths to the coronavirus. In a reflection in Sojourners, a commentary on faith, politics, and culture, Jim Wallace wrote that 100,000 people is 500 plane crashes with 200 passengers on board each one. Mind you, there have only been 33 airplane crashes with 200 or more fatalities in world history. It's 33 times the number of deaths on 9/11, 2 sold-out baseball stadiums, 25 field national cathedrals, nearly the number of U.S. soldiers killed in World War I, and almost 15 times the number of soldiers killed in Iraq and Afghanistan combined. If a COVID-19 memorial were built today and no one else in the U.S. died from the virus, it would need to be almost twice the length of the Vietnam War Memorial Wall to fit the names of all those our nation has lost. 100,000 neighbors, friends and family, grandfathers and grandmothers, fathers and mothers, aunts and uncles, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, even children are now all dead from COVID-19. Not only are 100,000 people dead from COVID-19, but this past week, we witnessed on film a police officer in uniform, licensed, paid for with taxpayer money, given a gun and a badge, hold a man in a chokehold for 8 minutes and 46 seconds after arresting him for a questionable counterfeit $20 bill. And that man, George Floyd, is dead over $20. Not only is George Floyd dead, but Ahmaud Arbery is dead and Breonna Taylor is dead. Not only is George Floyd dead, Ahmaud Arbery dead, and Breonna Taylor dead, but as of last week, 40 million people are without jobs. And being without jobs means that they have no way to care for themselves or their families. Being without jobs means being without food. And tens of millions of low-income children lost access to free reduced price lunches. So this week, I can't pass by this quickly or easily. Because one of the things that I want to know, and many of us want to know, is why does this keep happening? Why are Black lives expendable? I had to stop because we need to stop. We must weep, we must mourn, we must lament. We must grieve because the God of the Bible that I know and the God to whom I've dedicated my life to serving is grieved by this. And so today I grieve with God. I grieve with the family of the 100,000 who have had to adjust their rituals of mourning for their loved ones. I grieve for the mothers and fathers of Black sons and daughters. I grieve for our sons and daughters, for our nieces and nephews, for our children, for church members, for colleagues, for friends, because the skin that we are in is the weapon that they fear. But I also grieve with hope. I grieve with righteous resistance. I grieve with righteous indignation. I grieve with what Dr. Brittany Cooper would call eloquent rage, with anger not as an emotion to quell or suppress, but anger as the emotion that keeps me honest as a Black woman, as a preacher, and as a pastor. It's the anger that keeps me honest on a day like today, because once you see, you can't unsee. Once you know, you can't unknow. It's this truth that sets me free. But this grief is also the superpower, to borrow the words of Brittany Cooper again, that shapes and informs my ministry philosophy and practice. It's the reason why we collaborate with the food bank to bring food for people in a pandemic. It's the reason why we try to provide financial support, stimulus relief to members who have lost their jobs. It's the reason why we do missions at home and abroad. It's why we are committed to caring for the elderly and the widows. It's why we collaborate with the YMCA and served as a site for free lunches. And it's why I keep inquiring about using our church parking lot as a site in the 38106 zip code for corona testing, because people without transportation can't get to Tiger Lane and Walnut Grove. It's why my silence is not an option. It's the reason why I see ministry as an extension of the priestly, public, and prophetic ministry of Jesus of Nazareth, who, in the words of Dr. Aubrey Hendricks, was just as concerned about liberating us from the kingdom of death as about getting us into heaven. It's also why our church is still open for business, even though the building is closed. So thank you, CMBC and supporters, for your investment in this work. We've still got work to do. Well, that's about all I have for today. Meet us Sunday via live stream at 11 a.m. I'll be back in the pulpit with hope, with faith, with love, and eloquent rage. Your pastor.